The heartbreaking incident has led to a social media campaign for justice with the hashtag Justice Fowowe. While the governor of Edo State has committed to the cause to ensure justice is served, this incident has raised even more questions about rape culture. Well, joining us now to speak on this is family life therapist Praise Fowowe. Good morning to you, Praise. We've, OG and ourselves, we've definitely been looking forward to this conversation. We wish it was happening under happier circumstances, but as it stands, not only are we faced with the pandemic of COVID-19, sexual violence against young women in this country has continued to be an awful nuisance. As we look at what's happened in this very short period of time, there have been several rapes in this past week alone. You've just heard us mention about Uwa Omozua, but there was also several other rapes, one in Oyo State with a young girl being raped and killed after being beaten in Ibadan. So many different examples of that. On the front page of the Vanguard, I don't know if you've had a chance to see it, also the story of a 13-year-old girl being gang raped. This is, needless to say, a pandemic here in Nigeria, an epidemic even. It's a huge problem, and nothing seems to be stopping the rise of these types of crime. What do you think needs to be done first and foremost? It looks like we've lost Praise Fowowe, but while we work towards regaining him, OG and I will talk about how difficult it has been this week, not only for us as women, but absolutely for the families of these young girls who've had their lives cut short because of needless sexual and physical violence. It is heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. Just last week we had 3 or 4 cases reported on this. There was one lady that was in Ibadan that had, she was killed in her home. Literally. And we have to talk about this rape culture, but I believe that Mr. Praise Fowowe is back with us. Fantastic. Well, Praise, we wanted to ask you, we wanted to begin with, there have been so many different cases of rape across this week alone. Oju just mentioned the young lady in Ibadan who was killed after being raped. This is a huge epidemic happening in Nigeria in terms of sexual violence. What do you think needs to be done to challenge this, to stop this first and foremost?
Okay, thank you for having me. The first thing I need to say is that can we accept that rape has always been our culture? Because if we don't accept it, then we will begin to treat isolated events and pretend as if this has not been a part of our culture. Because as far back as I could remember, historically, we had situations where a king looked at the lady that he liked, and from the Yoruba culture, we say the king has placed leg on this one, and that lady is taken forcefully against her wish to become one of the king's wives. Now, that will pass for rape, even though it was cultural way back. And when I was growing up, I'm going to be 43, I remember clearly that many of the guys in my generation who had a girlfriend felt entitled to the body of the girl. So any girl that lost her virginity way back most likely did not lose.
It looks as though we have lost Praise while we work on gaining him back, or trying to see if we can establish audio. It does sound as though he said that lots of younger women would have lost their virginity against their will. And that speaks to the bigger problem of rape culture here. Is he back? Okay. Praise, we lost you there where you were talking about how many young women would have lost their virginity against their will. Could you continue on that point?
Yeah, so that will pass for rape. Anybody who deflowered a girl way back in the last 20, 30, 40 years, it would have passed as rape right now, but it didn't look like rape because the girls came back afterwards and they continued to have sex. But if you look at the act wherein she lost her virginity, that will pass for rape. So rape has been with us, and it's not just girls. An average boy lost his virginity to the house help, lost his virginity to the aunties, right? And so it has been a part of our culture over time. And if we want to now talk about changing it, we need to check our belief system. What do we believe? Because when you talk of the rape culture, you are looking at an entire flow chart, an entire value chain. You have the victim, you have the perpetrator, You have the production factory that is producing the victim and the perpetrator, because you want to ask a girl that is raped or a girl that is violated, how come she kept quiet? What system produced her that made it impossible for her to go and report to her parents at least? Right? So you look at the system producing disempowered girls and boys, then you look at the system producing the rapists. Then you now go to the society, which is another system. In the society, you have the reinforcing society of rape, you have the educating society, and you have the prosecuting society. Prosecuting is what we focus on, but we are not looking at the reinforcing society. How many religious leaders teach belief system that subtly perpetuate rape or promote rape? So you hear things like a man beats his wife and goes to report maybe to a religious leader. The first question is, are you giving him good sex? You know, you need to give him good sex. The same lady is raped. Go to the police station. They are saying, your husband cannot rape you. Or you have a situation where a man was raped by 5 girls. Goes to the police station. What do they say to the man? What kind of man are you? So those girls dealt with you very well. Can you arrange those girls? In fact, you enjoy it. And we trivialize these things. So all kinds of teachings are still on our pulpit. When someone gets raped, what do we say? We say, what was she wearing? You know, our ladies should dress well so that our men don't. These are teachings being perpetuated by the high and the mighty, by the respected and the anointed, and we keep quiet. We all sit down, we say amen, we say our Father in the Lord, our Imam in the Lord, and whatever. So you have the reinforcing society which perpetuates beliefs that has been with us, which makes a man feels entitled to a girl's body that is never married, to a girl that is put in his care, or even a lady to a boy that has been put under her care. So you have the victim, the perpetrator, the production for factory, which is the family, the society reinforcing, even educating. Now, let me tell you another version that is not being talked about. Even the NGOs who get funding to fight rape and divert the funding, so 20% is spent to fight the rape, 80% is kept, for personal use. Those are also rapists as well. We don't talk about them. Now, so it's an entire value chain that is profitable across board. And as long as we don't address things holistically, it will remain with us. Another case will happen. We will keep quiet. We will shout, keep quiet till another one happens. And we will run around again as usual. Can we begin to question our culture? Can we begin to question our beliefs, especially the beliefs that has not empowered us, and begin to say, you know what? Enough is enough. Who is a Nigerian girl? Who is a Nigerian child? So as at the last time I checked, there are states in this country that have not domesticated the Child's Rights Act. Question is, are we in the same country? Are we in the same country? So which means if a man violates a girl in those states, the girl may not get justice. Right? And it's the same country. So can we go where the matter is? And even when we march, who do we march to? Are we not marching to our problem, or we are marching to our solution? So it's an holistic issue, which is why it pains my heart when we just pick an isolated issue and we are not addressing the core issues, which will involve religious leaders, it will involve traditional rulers, it will involve the legislators, it will involve everyone to come to a round table to now say, why do people rape? And if you don't know, Nigeria now has a pornographic industry. We never used to have. We used to depend on Pornhub and the rest of them. Nigeria has a full-fledged porn industry that is competing with American porn industry right now. The rate of upload is scary. An average viewership is of 600,000. Consumers are ages 7 to ages 20, 29, thereabout, right? That's another generation of rapists, loading. So when you saw the news of a young man who raped an 80-year-old woman,
is that really another generation of rapists being loaded? Because pornography, I don't know if we can always provide a link between pornography and rape, because ultimately there are people who enjoy watching pornography and do not commit sexual crimes. So I don't know if it's an accurate depictor to link the two of them that way. Or what are your thoughts? Do you believe that pornography is a cause for these rapes?
Let me tell you what porn is. Porn has different dimensions. There are bestial porn, there are forced porn, so all kinds of shades exist in there. Now, an average person consumes forced porn. What forced porn does is forced porn depicts a lady being violated, but once penetration happens, she begins to enjoy it and sex begins to happen. That is forced porn. Now imagine an entire generation consuming forced porn, which will portray a lady as ladies love it when they are penetrated, that the initial fight is just initial struggle to say, don't get me easy. Now, if someone consumes that one, you become what you behold consistently, which is why people will force people. And let us also situate this. There is forced rape, there is subtle rape. Both of them are rape. When you cajole someone out of their pants to take advantage of them, that is also rape, right? So we don't talk about, what we talk about is the forceful one, but a lot of forceful rape, forced rape, is one of the sources, because you have to look at it holistically. Apart from our culture, you now have to look at rape in answers, wherein forced porn is one of the core answers of forced rape. A boy who went to rape an 80-year-old woman. Two things when I read that story in the newspaper is either this guy has been told to come and do this for ritual, or this guy is consuming forced rape, because in the forced rape you have underage forced, you have same age forced, then you have older generation forced rape. Now, these are all shades of expression in porn industry. I mean, I've been studying porn industry, doing research on it since the year 2004. So I can tell you the evolution of Nigerian porn industry and what has been and how it affects human behavior.
Well, all right, Mr. Praise, you have raised a lot of points here. I mean, the first one that I would like to touch on is the fact that we have to identify that we've had a rape culture for a while. But we don't have much time to discuss right now because we have to go on a short break. But when we come back, I'd love to ask you a few questions on that. Do stay with us. Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Before we went on a break, we were speaking with family life therapist Praise Fowowe. Hello, Mr. Praise, are you still there with us? Great. Thank you. Well, so before we went on break, we were touching on the fact that you said that, rape has always been in our culture. I'm glad that you have identified that. And, we all have to agree with you on that. It has been in our culture for a while. Now, in recent times, even from last year, there were a lot of hashtags trending on social media, starting from the Me Too movement. Also, you cannot pray rape away. And people have been talking. Now, can you say these recent times that we also have Say No to Rapist hashtag, is it really helping? Is it really making a difference at this point?
Well, I think it is, because to fight a monster, there are so many aspects to it. And one of the aspects is advocacy. At least we are getting people to talk, which is good, right? And people are agitating for justice, which is also fine. But we now need to create other flow charts around it to now say, okay, can we begin to do a proper study to find out the making of the rapist? Because if we agitate and say, put people to jail, put people to book, and I understand what the agitators are saying. What they are saying, actually, that they are not saying, is that it looks like the people who have been jailed for rape or who have been prosecuted for rape are the nobodies. The people that nobody can reckon with. You can't really say you know them, that the high and the mighty are above the law and they get away with some of these things, right? That's what they're actually agitating, that they're not saying publicly, which I think they are saying privately, right? And if I follow the body behavior and the body movement, I can say that categorically, that they want this thing to end. But I always ask questions that when the person you love or when the I and the mighty you love is involved, will the agitation be the same, right? But it is good, at least for the first time, naturally we don't talk. For the first time, people are talking. So advocacy, all the noise is part of it. It has brought everybody's, it has brought every consciousness into this matter. And I must appreciate them because for the first time, rape is in the front burner. We are all looking at it and everyone is speaking against it. So that has helped. But we now need to look at every other aspect of it to say, what about therapy for the victims? What about therapy for the perpetrators, even when they go to jail? Is our prison system designed to reform? Also, if he serves 14 years imprisonment and he comes out, will that behavior has left? What are the options available to uninstall that self-sabotaging pattern? Because corporal punishment does not solve a behavioral problem. Nobody can go to prison and just come out and the behavior will disappear. The behavior is a pattern. If you don't uninstall the self-sabotaging program already installed, once there's a trigger, it will replay itself, which is why you see an armed robber is jailed, he comes out, in 1 week, he's back to armed robbery, right? So we need to look at the value chain holistically and now begin to say, if we want to fight this, we need to check our culture. And I'll give you an example. In Lagos State, one of the things I do with Lagos State is I help counsel domestic violence couples, right? So DSRTV sends people to my office. Now, I work with over 40 in a particular year, across like 2 years, there are about 40 couples. Now, one of the assessments we run is what is called beliefs assessment or culture compatibility test. In that test, we ask all the 40 men, a man is superior to a woman and every woman must submit to a man. 38 of the 40 said yes, 8 said no. Now, among 40 women, 10 said yes, 30 said no. So already, if you look at that belief system, so naturally, 38 out of 40 already believe that they are superior to a woman. So when 38 men out of 40 believe that they are superior to a woman, then the way they're going to treat a woman is going to reflect that belief system. The second question we ask, a husband is superior to his wife. 30 said yes, 10 said no, which means 30 out of 40 will treat his wife like trash, may slap her, may violate her, may rape her. So imagine a combination of men who believe they are superior to a woman, who believe that they are superior to their wives. By the time we began to troubleshoot it, we saw that at the root of many of this self-sabotaging behavior is a belief system. Where did these beliefs come from? We asked them. How did you conclude that a man is superior to a woman? The Christians among them said from the Bible. I asked them, show me from the Bible. They said, the Bible says, let us make man in our image. So we went there and I asked them to continue. And he said, let them have dominion. Are you aware an average preacher in this country will teach man as male? Because the word let us make man there is not gender centric. That word is Adama, which is humanity or human being, which is why it says let them have dominion. So the moment we don't define male and female appropriately, which is why I said a male is simply a masculine expression of man, where man is humanity, and the female is a feminine expression of man, where man is humanity. If this definition is not placed in the front burner, for us to see that nobody is inferior, nobody is superior, you are a part of me, I'm a part of you, then we will not promote a culture of respect. And once there is no respect for gender, then there is no way we can treat ourselves right. So these are the things we now need to add to the advocacy and the agitation to say, how do we raise our boy child? How do we raise the girl child? What does school say about these things? So holistically, these are the things we now need to begin to look at.
Mr. Praise, I'm glad that you brought that up. You know, in the recent times, people have been coming out to actually accuse men. You know, I mean, they're pointing fingers to men and asking, you know, how do we raise more responsible men? So what is your take on that? Are men responsible for these actions, or is it just both, you know, both agendas?
So abuse is a cycle that we never talk about. If today we ask men to speak out, this nation may burn. And that is the truth. Because abuse is like a man violates a girl. Some of those girls, not all, will rise up to violate a younger boy who rises up to violate a girl, and the cycle continues. And I can tell you this, for example, I was violated at the age of 4. by my auntie, right? And this is a personal experience. The first time I spoke about it, I was already in my 30s. My mother was in tears. Now, so because I was threatened not to tell anyone, because if I told, my parents were going to die, that was what I was told. So if you check an average boy, many of them also lost their virginity to some girls, some aunties, some house helps, right? And some of them rose up to begin to manifest learned helplessness, where they began to inflict pain on other girls who will rise up to inflict pain. So it is not a fight between male and female. This is a battle between good and evil. And we need to understand the battle lines, because it's looking like boys versus girls. That's not the battle line. It's between, because we have rapist boys, rapist girls. So it's between good and evil. But even there's the conditioning system producing them. What I think we now need to begin to do is to say, what system do we have in raising a family, which is where my specialization is, family systems engineering, to say what template do we deploy to raise our boys, to raise our girls. So, and it must start with modeling. What life do we model to our boys and girls? Just the life we model, does it depict to them that a male child is more important to the girl child? And in the raising of a male child, we never allow the boy to externalize emotion. So if a boy and a girl falls down, we're likely going to grab the girl and say to her, pet her. But the boy, we're going to say to him, man up, be a guy, be a man. Men don't cry. A generation of boys who don't cry, who don't express emotion, is an entire generation of violent men who will violate women if care is not taken. So we now need to go on aggressive education of how to raise a family, of how to model life. I have a boy and I have a girl. Both of them cook. I mean, my girl is about 9. Both of them cook because they met me cooking. They met me washing plates, right?
Praise Fowowe. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of our segment. I didn't know 30 minutes could go so quickly. Yeah. We've definitely enjoyed speaking with you, and we'd also like to thank you for your bravery and your candor, talking about your own experience with sexual abuse, and of course educating us on the depths of this problem as it pertains to rape culture. So we thank you very much for your time.